If you think that Ubisoft investor trying to do a company takeover and get the CEO fired is going to change the whole damn thing, think again. Hello there, how's today? I'm Mega Kid there. So obviously today in Random Chat, we are going to talk about Ubisoft. The same company who actually go around going great saying that, oh, you should be comfortable with not owning game, as well as that they did a huge flop on the Star Wars Outlaw. So obviously when you think about it, that is if you are investor of Ubisoft, you're gonna be so damn mad that why is the company going on a downward spiral? And it's not just only the downward spiral for the freaking whole company, but actually most of them when I was like looking through Hero Hill video, I actually didn't notice that it was happening in a way that the investor are actually apparently taking action. So I was actually kind of like shocked to learn that a parent shareholder have for the Ubisoft or the investor has started to demand that Ubisoft either go private and or do they know it's apparent that way that they want the CEO be replaced. And the funnier thing is that I was not expecting that they were actually sending it to not only all the investor, but as well as to the CEO himself, saying like this is kind of like saying telling the CEO or the so-called the head of the company, hey, we demand you to be fired along the line. It's like, wow, I was totally not expecting that. So the reason for the so-called hostile takeover, which is just basically telling that they are mad that the value of the company Ubisoft have been on a downward spiral over the years. And I can see why. Although you can see it's green in color, but when you're actually looking at a few years in terms of everything, they were actually on the growing since from 2016 all the way to 2024. It had been kind of like up and then down, and it kind of like getting a lot of people mad about it. Like, why is it that it's not like staying at high value when it was at the very peak, or even going further upwards, but instead it's going downwards? And in a way, I mean, like it was on the downward spiral since then during this from the last 5 years period. And mind you, when I say last 5 year period is 2019 all the way then, and it was really on the downward spiral since then. I'm sure that people will be indicating like 2021 has an increase, but can you deny the decrease from back then? Because if you look at the 5 years period, it was on a downward spiral. So obviously it does not sit well with investor, because in the way is that a lot of investors so-called they are investing in this company with the goodwill that thinking that, oh, this company is going to grow, or the company people is going to get more game, considering that during the COVID period a lot of people tend to buy game and play games, and obviously a lot of game company do benefit from that. The only issue is that because the company is losing money in terms of stock value, so any investor who kind of like invest previously, they are just making a lot of loss. So to the investor, they have the right to be mad because they are losing. They have all their so-called paper or the stock value when they kind of like buy it at a higher price in the back then, and now it became worse than before. Obviously the paper is just gonna be worthless. So in order to kind of like prevent that from all the way to zero, obviously they have to take action and say that the CEO have not done anything. The CEO had done is kind of like trying to so-called buy at the dip, which is basically selling all his stock and then earn back all the money, and then when the money start rising, he will start to buy back again, so at a cheaper price along the line. So obviously this had been kind of like being the so-called excuse for the company to put out first. I wouldn't want to go into full depth into that because Robertson actually did a very good moment of covering the whole in depth on the situation. So I would recommend you guys to check out his video to understand more. Hero Hill-san as well, because he kind of like put everything in a summarized form. So if you guys want to check out their video, link in the description below. But what I'm gonna give is basically my own opinion about this audio. Do I really think that is the so-called investor trying to take over and fire the CEO? Is it gonna so-called change anything? Personally, I don't really think so. More so that actually kind of like Ubisoft kind of like throw up and double down on it, which again Robertson actually did another video about it, also link in the description below. But we'll talk about that in a while. But first thing first, let's go back to like so-called demanding of the CEO to be fired. It's actually kind of like interesting that when you think about it, the CEO himself have been kind of like agree with the so-called DI, the all the game, everything, and you can't deny that as if he's the leader of the company, obviously if the company did fail, he has to be the first one to be aimed. It's not the it's not just because oh the company is making laws, we have to lay off employees. At the end of the day, the one who kind of like push forward for the game, push forward for this kind of like game to be released or whatsoever along the line, obviously he's the one who approve all those. It's not the game director, it's not the game producer, everything. At the end of the day, he's the CEO, he's the one who approved everything. So if he approved Star Wars Outlaws to be released, if he approved that Assassin's Creed where a black man going around killing Japanese people is the game to go, then obviously he has to take accountability for the game. But the only thing is that because the so-called stock market have been on the free fall for Ubisoft for the past few years, obviously they trying to bang on Star Wars Outlaw as well as the upcoming game Assassin's Creed, and obviously it didn't get like so-called well for them, especially when I actually did a freaking video about how the Star Wars will become the Outlaw is gonna be a nightmare for Star Wars franchise itself, and obviously it really is gonna be a nightmare when you think about it. Like there's so many reasons to indicate that Star Wars Outlaw is such a failure on Ubisoft side, and now they are going to release another game soon, which is the Assassin's Creed Shadow, which is basically about it takes place in Japanese in Japan, and instead in Japan, and instead of like having a Japanese man and a Japanese lady to become the so-called the male and the female version of the main character or the main hero, main heroine, whatever they call it along the line, instead they decided to say that no, we are not going to have an ASEAN man, we're going to change the man to instead of Japanese man, they're going to go with African people, which is basically a black man. And the reason for that was because the EI, which is basically diversity, equality as well as inclusive. They want to include as many things as possible, saying that hey, you got this, you got that, whatever along the line. But what they didn't know, and as I always been calling in a lot of my video random chat, that it is basically a racist game. The game that they once say that Resident Evil 4 or 5 is evil because it's a white man going around killing black zombie, and now when you think using that same logic into this game, obviously it's about a black man going around killing ASEAN people. So obviously the reason why I say it's a racist game is that it kind of like telling the people that if you are a person who hate ASEAN and you're a black man, yeah, go ahead play this game because you are going to kill as many Japanese people as you like, and who knows, they may end up doing it in real life. That is a problem if people do say that this game actually go through, and Ubisoft seems to be pushing the game forward, and obviously it didn't sit well with a lot of people saying like this sort of thing is not real good thing, and obviously people saying like hey, you are racist for saying that we can't have a black man. Well, why would you not even think about like if you're having a black man going around some people killing some people just because you're a black, like dude, have they ever sit down and think that the game itself is already racist, and now they are saying that oh, you are against the black man, you are racist? So I guess that the game was racist, and now that you make it that as if that we don't like the black man, we are racist, and I guess that everyone is racist at this point of time. So it's back to the point of like you racist, I racist, we all racist along the line. Oh, this word is for racism. I didn't know that. But the thing is that when we sit down and think about the game, right, the investor going to change the so-called and get the CEO fired, obviously is not going to end up well. More so that when they say that we're gonna change the company, we demand the CEO to be fired, and obviously the one who give the approval for such a game is obviously the CEO himself. It's not just because they have the sweet baby in 30 hand on it, but the one who agreed to all this game, at the end of the day, you have to understand it's the CEO himself. And obviously when you sit down and think about it, yeah, obviously the investor or the shareholder or however you want to call them along the line, they are going to be mad, they're going to demand his firing. And the one actually kind of like get even more funny is that they are demanding that the family who is so-called the co-founder of the Ubisoft to be aware of it and demand it to be taken off the stock markets to prevent further loss of the company stock, as well as to kind of like get someone new to kind of like be the to steer the ship of Ubisoft, called Ubisoft, into the right direction. But the problem with this, as I kind of like afraid, was that when they say that, hey, when they demand a company to be so-called replaced, can we be so sure that the someone who is going to replace the company is going to make sure that, the so-called DEI is going to be removed? Obviously, a lot of people will think that, hey, Ubisoft getting replaced is going to be a good thing. But when you look at the whole further in, it's not going to be something simple, because DEI kind of like been embedded into the system, the management, everything itself. And DreadRoberts son, saying that as one of the reasons why I love doing deep research on a lot of things, and I don't like to do just one research, is that sometimes when you think that it's just basically think that, oh, the investor going to replace the CEO, as well as that change the whole Ubisoft management, I think we're gonna have a better game in future along that. Yeah, it ain't that easy, alright? Because as what Robertson actually reported, apparently Ubisoft decided to do some sort of like self-destruction and double down on the so-called inclusive project, about they wanting to ensure that DEI is embedded, not rooted or whatsoever, is ensure that it's in the mind of everyone. So basically what happened is that Ubisoft actually opened up so-called a program to ensure that women or non-binary individual to into the program. So they want to have more female, or even if you are a guy who is actually a transgender or decide to be a fanboy or whatever, or drag queen along the line, and that you call yourself a female, yeah, you can be part of it. But it's kind of interesting that the inclusive program have an exclusive, and men are not to be included. I kind of like surprised at why is it called DEI for the I when it's called inclusive for everyone, but they decided to change it to DEE, which is kind of like, what the heck? Because the thing is like, it's inclusive, not exclusive. So you should be kind of like going around with saying that, hey, we must include that, we must include this. Obviously, it should be kind of like making sure that everyone work on the same level with the same mindset and ensuring that everything work together. But instead they decided to say that no man is allowed. So I guess that this kind of program is not really called inclusive. It should be called include women but not men along the line. But again, as Palmabeth actually point out in her tweet, is that it's really not really kind of like being a processive Western country. It's more towards like when you kind of put an inclusive program and it's actually more about exclusive, it's kind of like just telling the whole damn world and admitting it to themselves that, hey, this is just a propaganda or agenda against men because they don't like men along the line. And it seems to be kind of like, what the heck were they thinking? Because as much as they love to say that, oh, there is a lot of female gamers, which I won't deny there is a lot of female gamers in this world, but at the end of the day, the one who is actually buying the game and playing the game is actually not a lot of female gamers. And a lot of female gamers that I know very well is that the only game they tend to play is just mobile game or maybe some PC game. Not really like those sort of AAA or quadruple A games or game that you don't need to own along the line. Because when you kind of like sit down and think about it, right, most of the game that the audience that is buying like Ubisoft game tend to be male, and yet their target is towards female or woman, or lady, or whatever one they want to call themselves. So it's really kind of like enticing, like they are going to ensure that they are, even if the investor do take over the company, can we be so sure that they were able to ensure that this sort of program is like so-called deleted or be removed? Because in a way is that Ubisoft is ensuring that this program is so-called being embedded into the system itself. And even if the company do get take over, they can't really remove the dust, because the dust or it's like it's no longer a swamp, it's no longer a mud puddle, it's no longer just a dirty stuff in the ground. It's basically a freaking swamp, and trying to clean out a swamp is an easy task unless you do a whole new overload on the so-called land itself. So at the end of the day, I don't think that when I was like looking through a lot of Twitter and checking out a lot of news, it's kind of like do tell a lot of things that just because Ubisoft investors are trying to so-called take over the company and trying to and they put up a very nice statement indicating that, hey, we want to change the company, we want to ensure that the company is meant for the gamers along the line. When you sit down and think and look at a lot of situation, a lot of news, I don't think it's gonna be anything that simple, because at the end of the day, even if they do kick out the even if they kick out the CEO, can we be so sure that they're gonna ensure that everyone that is involved in getting the game Ubisoft so bad get laid off as well? I don't think so. I mean, like, it's really kind of like telling us that, hey, they seems to do like meant for the gamer and trying to get the gamers to rally with them. But when you look at the whole ordeal, it doesn't seem more so when actually when I was watching Robert video about some of the investor, one of them apparently include DreadRoberts, which is basically a company that is more into DEI. So even if you kind of like change the CEO, if there is a group of investors that is still embracing DEI, I don't think we're gonna see any change for Ubisoft. And more so, the only way that I actually saw some comment indicating that the only way for Ubisoft to be safe is by having it bankrupt. I'm not joking when I saw that comment, because I actually do agree with that to a T. Like, the only way for Ubisoft to actually be safe is either you change the whole damn culture, or you have to actually collapse. And at this point of time, it's really so how ridiculous. I'm not saying that I want those people to lose their job, but when you think about how much trash they have been pushing forward over the past few years, obviously you'll be like, they're gonna get any more empathy or sympathy or whatever pity that is in the dictionary. And more when you think about it, right, the gaming failure is actually not just only the CEO fault. It's actually more into the fault of kind of like, in my view, a collective effort. It's not only just the CEO, it's not only just because the Sweet Baby Inc got their dirty hand on it, but actually more so that if they have a freaking system going to embrace every single thing about DI into their management, I don't think it's just only that. Because at the end of the day, it's a whole collective effort that caused this whole game to fail and the whole game company to actually become one of the so-called hated company in gaming industry. So to me, even if Ubisoft investor decided to so-called take over the company and get the CEO fired, is it gonna change anything? Personally, like I mentioned again, unless they change the whole damn system, lay off every people that is trying to push DEI or force diversity whatsoever into game and make the game even worse, then yeah, I think there is still a fighting chance, there is still hope in it. But if they just kind of like take over the company and just only fire the CEO and not change the damn thing, yep, it's not gonna change the damn thing. It's gonna be even more worse, it's gonna be even more crazier, and the only way I can see Ubisoft will be into the ground. But hey, that is just basically my speculative thought, just a random chat. If you have your own opinion, your own take, your own view, just write in the comment below, we can discuss it further. But if you do like this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe for more random chat, where I talk about stuff that sometimes makes sense or doesn't make sense or just totally random stuff. But the one thing I can make sure is, I hope you guys have a nice day online. Bye!